Good morning, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Mark Vetterhoff. I'm with the AARP Elder Watch program, and this morning we're going to be talking just real briefly about using consumer review sites, and hopefully this will be some good information for you as you're shopping or finding services or any other types of kind of consumer products. I just want to remind you that this is part of a series of Elder Watch events, and you can see a link right there, that aarp.cvent.com/Elder Watch 2020, of about 20 events that we're doing to close out 2020, and hopefully you can join us for some of these different events. They're just mostly short presentations about different topics around fraud, scams, and financial literacy that hopefully are valuable for folks. Most of the presentations are about 30 minutes and have very concentrated topics with regards to learning about frauds and scams and financial literacy. So hopefully you'll join us for some of them. But today, that very concentrated topic is going to be about using consumer review sites. I'll say that I'm not a expert on consumer review sites, but they are something that I use regularly, and I think that they're great tools for learning about different types of potential businesses you should avoid and ones that you should use. So we'll talk a little bit more about these today. So just for those of you who are not familiar, Elder Watch is a 19-year partnership with AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office. We work in tandem to educate older adults across Colorado about different types of frauds and scams that are happening. We do that through education outreach. Sadly, this year, all of our education outreach is virtual, but we're happy that you're able to join us and hopefully learn a little bit virtually, but we do enjoy doing in-person, and hopefully next year we'll be able to do some in-person events again as well. We also do have a volunteer staffed helpline. That number was on the original screen. It's 1-800-222-4444. It's option 2 if you have questions about frauds or scams down the line. Please mute your lines today and type any questions that you have in the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. This will be recorded and on our YouTube channel, and you can see the YouTube channel below there. And so all the presentations, the 20 or so that we'll be doing to close out 2020, will all be listed as part of that YouTube channel. So today, we are going to be talking about what are consumer review sites for. We're going to be talking about when you can use a consumer review site, pros and cons of consumer review sites, common sites, as well as examples of searches and sites. So, and I have a little note down there that I'll be giving examples of review sites and companies being reviewed. These examples do not imply any type of endorsement by myself or AARP in any way. They're simply examples to illustrate various review sites and how to use them when researching a company. So I'm not trying to pick on any companies here, and some of it will be random in terms of what I'm looking at, but I'm just wanting to show you different features of review sites, and by doing that, by looking at reviews of certain companies and different types of industries, so you have a good example of different types of reviews. So what are consumer review sites for? They provide a place for consumers to read reviews about businesses, products, and services. And so this is largely what we'll be talking about today in terms of how to read reviews and what those reviews are for. They also provide a place for a business to promote their products and service. So different types of review sites are often listings of companies that people look to find out if they're looking for a plumber, or if they're looking for a restaurant that is, Salvadorian and they don't know where one is. It might be a place where someone goes to find that type of business. It also provides a place for customers to share their experience with a business about a product or a service, and so it gives a forum for those customers to let them know if they had a great time or if they had a terrible time as a part of doing interaction with that business. Reviews are very commonplace for home repair, travel information, product reviews, and pretty much everything under the sun. Looking at the BBB website this morning, they have specific reviews and portals to get through and make reviews for things like for phone companies, specifically auto companies, different types of technology companies that we deal with often, like TV and phone companies as well, are very, very common for people to write reviews about because they might be having a problem. And so it's a common thing. Same thing with home repair. People look to these sites for home repair options because they might not know where to go otherwise if they're need a plumber or need someone to help fix their deck or whatever it may be. It also does provide a forum for complaints, and we'll see that today. And I think that a lot of people are drawn to review sites not to lift up a business, but to put down a business if they had a bad experience. And so it's good information, but that's also something that you need to have in the back of your mind when you're looking at review sites. Are people driven to them to write a review when they have a fantastic experience? Maybe. But if they have a terrible experience, they're much more likely to probably do some type of review. So when can you use a consumer review site? Obviously to do research, and I think that's probably one of the best usage of review sites. And typically when people are involved in some type of a scam involving a business, or they feel like they've been defrauded by a business, it means that they might not have done some type of research prior to engaging with that business. And so when I'm saying do research, you should do research for companies that you've not done business with before prior to doing business with them. So that's a critical step, and that's one of the best parts about using a consumer review site. Also, when you don't have a referral, lots of people use word of mouth referrals for different types of things, for finding a contractor or for going to a restaurant. So if you don't have a referral from a friend or family member who can tell you firsthand how their experiences was, you can read about other people's experiences on a consumer review site. So it's a good place to go if you don't have a referral. To check a referral also. If you have someone who gave you a referral, you're not too sure about it, and so you want to read other people's experience, you can do that through consumer review sites. To debunk a scam. Again, scam companies also might end up with some type of profile on a consumer review site, and so if 20 people on there are reviewing this scam company or alleged scam company, saying that they lost $200 and they never got a response from that company, it's a good place to find out if something might actually be a scam. Also to cross-check other consumer review sites. Some consumer review sites might be more reputable than others. Some might be loaded with fake or misleading reviews. And so if you check another consumer review site and you find that all of the reviews on that one are negative after looking at one other consumer review site and finding everything's positive, that might give you a reason to think again about using that. Also, potential retribution. Sometimes consumer review sites, if there is, someone expresses a major problem with some type of product or service, there might be retribution in terms of the company reaching back out to that reviewee and saying, how can we help you solve this problem so that your review changes, because we're the type of company that does that. And so it is a place where you do see companies respond back or businesses respond back and try to make situations right if they believe that negative review is going to negatively affect their future business. So and people do think of that option in terms of, that example. Well, I'm sitting at a restaurant, I just had terrible service, I'm going to write a Yelp review and make that restaurant regret that they ever gave me this terrible service. So thinking about that, I've definitely sat in a restaurant with friends before, and they made that type of a comment. I've never personally done that, but it is something that people think about in terms of retribution for poor service by a business. So pros and cons of consumer review sites. Pros, again, a source of information for consumers. Talked about that already. It's a forum to provide positive or negative feedback for customers. It's a potential source of retribution, like I was just talking about. Review is not helpful to be read after a bad experience necessarily. So aside from assurance that your experience was not isolated, so it's a, thinking about that. You want to do all of this research before you're engaging with the business, especially again if you don't know that if you've never had an experience with them before. Cons: reviews can be fake, disingenuous, or have a bias. So it's really important to remember this, and this is one of the key things that I remember when I'm looking at any type of review, whether it's for something on Amazon or Facebook or Google or Better Business Bureau. Who's writing the review? Does the review fall in line with other reviews? Does that review matter to me? And different things like that. And just understand that there are people out there and businesses out there who boost up their profiles on different websites by creating fake reviews, or having all of the people who they know or all of their employees write a review, or creating fake profiles and creating fake reviews. These things do happen, and so it's really important to remember that you should read a good amount of reviews, good and bad, about different businesses before engaging with them, so you understand what the reviews are like, and potentially if there is any type of try to debunk any fake reviews or disingenuous reviews or any reviews that might have a bias. For instance, someone who is a family member of someone who works for that company. So you might not know that directly, but that definitely does happen. Businesses may ignore reviews. Businesses, they don't have to be a part of these forums if they don't want to. There could be a million complaints about a certain company. They might not even know about it, and they might not care if they're still doing business otherwise. But I think it can negatively affect your business if you're not responding to these reviews and people are doing their research beforehand, like we're suggesting. And a review does not guarantee your experience will be equal. So, for example, a restaurant might have 1,000 reviews that are positive, and you might show up on a really bad day for that restaurant and they are short-staffed and you get terrible service and your food's not cooked correctly and everything like that. And so you're thinking, well, I just read 1,000 reviews that said this restaurant's great, but I had a terrible experience. So it's important to remember that a review does not guarantee your experience, but it will probably put you in line with what you should be expecting. So I did a quick search to find out what are some of the most common consumer review sites. And so when I did this, the listing that I found was from a website that does consultation for businesses that are trying to up their reputation on consumer review sites. And so I think it's also important to remember that I hadn't necessarily thought about this before pulling this presentation together, but I think it's also important to remember that there are consultants and other types of companies that do what this one organization referred to as reputation management, to help businesses manage the amount of reviews they have and the reviews that are seen by their customers or potential customers. And so it's a bigger business than just a mom and pop shop, sitting down and responding to every review that's out there. There are companies that manage this process for a lot of businesses. And so it's important to remember that it's, again, if you're reviewing the bar down the street, it might not be the bar owner sitting there responding to every review. There might be a company that's feeding reviews to them that are that they need to respond to, or they might have generic responses to some of the reviews. All different types of scenarios could be taking place as a part of this review process. So just remember that. and know that there are businesses out there that are helping businesses and companies of all sizes manage the review process. And so looking at this list, common consumer review sites, number one, Google, probably no surprise to anyone. You can see the traffic. So any business really can be reviewed on Google, and people, if you have a Google profile, you can be a part of creating those reviews. Amazon as well, probably no surprise. People can review the products that they get through Amazon. Facebook, very similar to Amazon and Google. You can review the different businesses that are a part of the Facebook network, and even that aren't a part of it. There are listings from different businesses that might not even have a Facebook page that help, give people an idea if that's a good business or not. Yelp reviews are pretty common, but you'll see that their traffic is far less than that of Google, Amazon, and Facebook. But still, a huge source of reviews that folks go to. TripAdvisor is very common for people who are traveling. So it's very common for looking for hotels, restaurants, food choices of all sorts, things to do, and kind of, it's a great source of reviews, but it's also a great source of kind of people use when they're traveling, particularly. Probably this year has been not quite as dynamic for TripAdvisor as it has in the past, because people have not been traveling as much. The Better Business Bureau is kind of a mainstay for figuring out if businesses are reputable or not. We often recommend that people go to do their research about a business on the Better Business Bureau website, because they do have a history of doing these type of reviews, more so than any of the other types of just internet-based companies. They've been around for quite a while. And so we'll talk more about the BBB in just a little bit. Yellow Pages, the Yellow Pages I was surprised to see on this list, because I didn't even know they existed. But when we're thinking about consumer reviews and finding businesses, you think back to when the Yellow Pages was the place where you would do these searches before the internet existed. So I definitely was alive when that happened. Manta was one I had not heard about before, but it's mostly for small and independent businesses. I do have an example of them. Angie's List. And Angie's List is the same now, and part of the same company as HomeAdvisor. And so we'll talk just a little bit more about HomeAdvisor as well, but a lot of that is for finding contractors and different people to do work on your home. And Foursquare is another type of search engine that has much smaller but local footprints in different communities. So I'm going to switch my screen to sorry, 1 second here. I thought I had this down. I'm switching my screen. To some different searches that we can look at as a part of consumer review sites. And so I want to start off with the Better Business Bureau. Better Business Bureau is, again, a great place to go to start doing research about specific companies. The Better Business Bureau has lots of ins and outs that folks should know about and think about when they are doing these searches. And so when I thought I would do one just on general contractors and look about what different reviews have. And you can see there are some examples and listings of different contractors as part of the BBB. And so I'm looking at all different, and this is for the Denver metro area, I'm looking at companies that are both BBB accredited and not. But also you notice here on the side, if you look at this BBB listing, they all have a letter grade indicating what the BBB says is, BBB, it says right here, BBB assigns ratings from A+ highest to F lowest. In some cases, BBB will not rate the business for reasons that include insufficient information about a business or ongoing review update of that business's file. So I think it's really important that people understand that the BBB is assigning ratings, but they're also assigning them on that criteria. And they will not rate businesses that they don't have any other background information on. You also will see here that select businesses earn BBB accreditation by undergoing a thorough evaluation and upholding BBB accreditation standards. And so that essentially means that they are a part of the Better Business Bureau, which means they pay to be a part of the Business Bureau, the Better Business Bureau, and to be within their network, and so that the Better Business Bureau can review them. And it also means that there's an expectation that they would respond to any complaints as part of being a part of the Better Business Bureau. So if they don't respond to those complaints, they might then be knocked down a grade. So I just want to look again, these companies, I don't know anything about these companies, but just looking at them in terms of examples of what we can see. So this is an ad. You can see that clearly here. It's an ad, but it's also a Better Business Bureau accredited business. And it also has an A+ rating. So if I click on this company, you can see their profile. It's, again, a general contractor. They do, again, down here, a list that they have been a Better accredited since 1999, in business for 23 years. They have the A+ rating from the BBB, and they also do have positive customer reviews. So that's again something that I'd look for. And down here, you can read the customer reviews, which I think is critically important to understand what the reviews are based upon. So I'm going to pull up these consumer reviews. And you'll see down here that there are listings from different people who are all giving, a 5-star rating for this company from different time periods, and what they use them for, and then you can see, like here, for example, it's someone who the company then responded back saying thanks for the kind words and working with you. And so just an example, there's one example of what it might look like if you're trying to do a review, and what you should be looking for when you're doing these same type of reviews. I'm going to go next to the one right below it. Again, it's a company that is not accredited by the Better Business Bureau, but also has an A+ rating. And so I'm going to click on this other contractor and see what it says about them. So again, it says right here, it's not accredited by the Better Business Bureau, been in business for 26 years, they have an A+ rating, and they have 0 reviews and 0 complaints. So if I would say in this instance, when you're looking at this review, it's nice to know that they have an A+ rating, because that essentially means that the Better Business Bureau has not received any complaints about them. But there also is a lack of information because there's not any additional reviews. So if I was to engage with this company, I might look elsewhere or ask elsewhere for different reviews of this company, just because that A+ isn't necessarily going to do it for me. Though it is nice to know that people have not gone out of their way to file a complaint against this company. So those are just a couple of quick examples about what to think about when you're doing a BBB search. I'm going to look at a couple other ones, and I don't mean to pick on these companies that I am doing just a quick go over, but they're companies that we hear about regularly with our work on the helpline. And so this first one is Dish Network. And so Dish Network, again, we hear about pretty regularly in terms of complaints that come through on a helpline. But if you come down here, you'll see that Dish Network is not a BBB accredited company. They do have an A+ rating, But they also, if you look at their consumer reviews, they have a 1-star average for their review. So, and there's been 384 customer reviews. And then if you look at their customer complaints, you can see that in the past 12 months, they've had over 1,200 complaints. And so you look at this file and you say, well, how can they have an A+ rating? And I think that the real critical part about understanding how the BBB works is that if these companies respond and try to resolve the different complaints that come through, then the BBB will maintain that they're in good standing. So you'll see, different complaints down here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the complaint section just so you can have an idea of what it looks like. But you will see the complaint, and you'll see this first complaint someone did just recently talking about their issue. Then you'll also see the response from Dish Network. Again. And then you'll see a customer response. It says, I've reviewed the response made by the business in reference to this complaint and find that this resolution is satisfactory to me. So I'll say though that when I was talking before about retribution, this is one positive that some of these consumer review sites have. Oftentimes, large companies like Dish Network have a staff of people who are responding to these complaints. And it's different than the folks who are maybe that you're just calling and having issues with on the phone when you're trying to resolve a complaint. So it is one other way that, especially for large businesses like this, that you might get some type of response. And so I recommend often to people who are having a problem with a company like Dish Network. And one other that I'll bring up too, CenturyLink, that we also do occasionally hear complaints about, that it is another place to go to try to resolve an issue, because they do have staff who are dedicated to doing this work. Again, CenturyLink, very much like Dish Network, does not have an accreditation with the Better Business Bureau. You'll see their BBB review right there, customer review, customer complaints. There's a host of them. But at the same time, when you're looking at these companies, you'll see that they do respond to the complaints, and that's why they've maintained in relatively good standing with the Better Business Bureau, because they are going through and resolving these products. And you'll see right here on the screen, if you click that little reserve, the complaint verified the issue, the complainant verified the issue was resolved to their satisfaction. So you'll see a lot of that when you go through the different complaints for different companies. And it's up to you if that's satisfactory to you when you are going to engage with a company. So I'm going to go away from the BBB just for a minute and look at a couple other major review sites and just what to expect. I thought this one would be a little more fun. So Google really does do reviews through the Google Maps process, and so they tie the spot on their map directly to the different reviews that they have for them. So this is just a restaurant that is in downtown Denver, and you'll see different reviews for the restaurant that are, you're getting 5-star reviews, and then you're getting a response from the owner, and these different types of things about their experience. And then you'll see, for example, a response from the owner, depending upon how the experience was. So I love Google reviews. It's a good way to at least get a taste of the people's experiences. It also will show you pictures of their food and all this type of stuff too. But this is not just for restaurants; it's for anything. And so expect that if you're looking for a plumber in your area, and you go on Google Maps and just type in plumber, maybe there's going to be 20 different plumbers that show up in a 10-mile radius of you. You can click on their little dot like you would for these restaurants, and see information about the business, as well as get any customer reviews that have been left. Want to look at a couple other ones real quick before ending today. Sorry, we've gone just a bit over. HomeAdvisor, I think, is a great example of places that folks can go for home repair and different services. I think important, and again, as I mentioned before, home repair or HomeAdvisor and Angie's List are one company now. So, if you're going to HomeAdvisor or Angie's List and familiar with those names, they're likely going to have the same listings and share reviews for both of those sites. So if you weren't familiar with that service, that's how it is. But just looking at this, I did a quick search on deck builders in Denver, and you'll see that, again, there are companies that have paid for their ad to be at the top, though they don't have any reviews at the moment. And then there are companies too that have verified reviews and profiles within the site, and other ones. And so it's worth going through and looking at the different reviews that folks have had. I'll look at this one just real quick because it's not necessarily just all 5-star reviews, but it's important to remember that companies on HomeAdvisor pay to have their listing there. And they're looking to generate business through that. And so they're looking to have a spotless profile, and they're also looking to generate a whole bunch of business by having that listing there. And so you'll see that there are, as a result of this, there are positive reviews and negative reviews from this particular company. And so it's a matter of reading through reviews and seeing which matters to you, and if that review necessarily garnered a half a star or a star or 4 stars, also kind of does that fall in line with what you're looking for. And so just again, reading into the reviews and seeing if there's a bias as well is critical, but also just knowing what other experiences they had as part of the process should be beneficial for you as you go to engage with them. So just a couple other spots. This site, Manta, I was not familiar with before, but it appears to me to be a really comprehensive listing of different types of companies. I just looked up lighting stores for no reason, and essentially they're just verifying that they were. I did not see too many reviews on this site, but again, it's another. I mentioned that these review sites are sometimes just a good consumer listing to find different products or services. So this site might be good if you're just looking for a listing and you want to kind of do your own research and or just find names of companies to do research about. Another one, I looked up Yelp, and I just randomly looked for plumbing companies. And Yelp reviews, this is what they look like. You've never seen one before. It gives you an idea of a profile of the companies. There's 136 reviews. So I think more reviews, often the better. So you'll get a more diverse perspective from the different reviews. It will also sometimes include videos. You see videos here of people working or doing whatever, review highlights about the business, and then come down here and you'll get kind of a better perspective about all the different reviews that there are. You see 5-star reviews, and what was good about them. You'll also see negative reviews. This one says, the one before said great communication. This one says very pushy. So it's interesting to see. You'll see that the company then responded directly to that review, and sometimes these things look pretty nasty when you go through and start reading through all of them. And so I think it's a really good thing to consider as you're considering companies. If you think the reviewee had a valid point on what they're saying, and the different types of kind of issues that both parties are bringing up as a part of the different reviews. So again, doing your research, and not reading, coming with different perspectives as well. Just a couple other fun ones that I wanted to show. This one is for TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is highly based on reviews. This one is for a hotel in Miami Beach, just because I thought that looked kind of nice to be at the beach right now. But you'll again see the reviews as you go down here, and people, base, a lot of their experiences about what they're going to book and travel if they are not familiar with them on these types of reviews on different consumer travel sites like TripAdvisor. So, like, for example, this one says, I was robbed at this hotel, so that might not be somewhere where I want to go. Not a good start. But this person says, quiet but nice. So it's, again, I wouldn't, and don't waste your entire day looking at the reviews, but it's at least a good start to start understanding the different things that are going on. If you get 9 out of 10 reviews saying that they had bugs in their room, it's probably a good place to move on from. But just another example. And my last example is one for a clothing website that I can occasionally buy jackets and stuff for. And I would say that one of the best parts of the review site here is that if you look up, so this is just looking up a jacket, but if you are trying to find out about fit, if it would be the right size for you, again, since it's an online retailer and it's hard to determine if that is going to fit you or not, the reviewees, essentially put their build size, the size of the product that they bought, their height, their weight, to help give other purchasers an idea about what size they should be buying in terms, and they also will put pictures about issues that they might have had with the product. This one sounds like it's a terrible zipper, so important to know. But I really appreciate the reviews, and it's important to know that these types of reviews out there exist in terms of finding different products and services that might not be so easy to buy online anymore, but you get more information as a result of some of the reviews. Okay, so I'll see if I have any questions. I'm sorry, I was just trying to go back to the PowerPoint. So here's just some resources. If you're looking for resources, just see if I have any questions. So, and the one question that we have is, if you have a problem and write a review, will the company act on it? And I think that question came in right at the very beginning. But you can see that a lot of the companies do respond, and they, if there is a potential for any type of reconciliation or based upon a review, it's definitely possible. So, if you feel like you're not getting any response and you demand one from that company, it's definitely one way to potentially get a response. Well, I've gone over my time, but I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and hopefully that you got a couple of useful tips about looking at consumer review sites, and you'll keep some of these things in the back of your mind when you're trying to engage with any type of products or services online, particularly if you're not familiar with them to begin with. But hopefully you'll join us for some of the other presentations that ElderWatch is putting on. Again, the website's right there for signing up for them, and have a great rest of the day.